Hi, y'all. This is Mr. Spengler. Glad to be with you again. Um, Today's lesson is going to be relatively short. I'm going to give you a quick recap of what you should have learned about the atmosphere from last week, and we'll learn then about layers of the atmosphere, and you'll finish up the lesson by doing quizzes. Take it as often as you like on layers of the atmosphere. So here we go. Last week you should have learned that the atmosphere is really important to our existence. It gives us our oxygen that we breathe. It helps objects coming in from space burn up before they strike us. It keeps nasty radiation like X-rays and gamma rays from reaching the surface, and it keeps us warm. All really important, necessary for life. Um, Keep in mind that the Earth's atmosphere hasn't always been the same. It's changed. When Earth first formed, it was largely hydrogen and helium, ammonia and methane, which was a toxic mix. If we lived then, it was really hot, but if we were trying to survive, we couldn't in that atmosphere. And it was so hot that the water that existed as gaseous water in the atmosphere. And about 2 billion years ago, life started changing the atmosphere and change it to what we have now. And a quick reminder of what does the atmosphere look like now? Um, the number one gas is nitrogen. It's inert, which means it doesn't interact with many things. We breathe it in, we breathe it right back out. We need nitrogen for protein and DNA, but it has to come from our food. We basically pick it up from plants, which pick it up from the soil, which pick it up from bacteria that take it out of the air. Oxygen is the second most abundant gas, and then argon is the third, and carbon dioxide is actually larger than this. It's actually at 0.044 thanks to burning of fossil fuels. You might wonder, why are we not running out of oxygen? Well, it turns out photosynthesis produces oxygen, and respiration uses oxygen, and there's a balance. And that's relatively important. There's also a balance in the nitrogen cycle. We don't need to really go into it. And then now for something completely new. Um, the atmosphere is split into layers, and this is kind of a weird graph. We've got a line here. That's the actual line of temperature, okay, versus altitude. So as we increase our altitude, let's say we climb a mountain, you probably know that as you get higher up a mountain, it gets cooler. And the reason for that is we've learned that the sunlight, it's absorbed by Earth's surface, not by the air. The sunlight goes through the air largely, unaffected, but once it hits the surface, it warms it up. So the closer you are to the surface, the warmer the air is likely to be. And as you rise in altitude, the temperature drops. But then it stops dropping, and then it starts getting warmer again. So in the stratosphere, it starts getting warmer. Then in the mesosphere, it starts getting colder. And in the thermosphere, it starts getting hotter. And that continues until it gets exceptionally hot. So basically, these layers are set out by differences in temperature. Okay? That's important to know. And it says, which area is the lowest pressure? Well, realize that all this is like water, right? Where's the pressure of the water the greatest in the Rocori pool? Well, it's at the bottom of the pool. So at the bottom layer, the troposphere, the layer we live in, is where we have the highest pressure. The lowest pressure is in the thermosphere, where there's very little on top of it pressing down. And once again, these layers are divided based on differences in temperature. Okay. The first layer is the troposphere, and the troposphere is where we live. It's from the surface to the top of the tallest mountain and slightly above. It's where all the weather happens. If you notice this cloud, it gets big. If you've ever seen a big storm cloud in the summer, it gets a flat head. It's called an anvil. And that anvil is the layer just above the stratosphere, because it turns out as this starts getting warmer, this cloud can't rise anymore because the area up here is warmer than the cloud, so it can't rise. So the weather basically stops at the troposphere. If you've ridden in airplanes, that's going just above the troposphere. But it's the second warmest layer and functionally the warmest layer. It's got enough pressure for us to exist, enough oxygen for us to exist, and as you rise in altitude, the temperature decreases. And uh, It's the only layer we can live in. In fact, if you hang out at the top of some mountains, you're going to pass away because the air gets so thin already, even though we're in the troposphere. So the troposphere is where we live, where weather happens. The next layer is the stratosphere. The stratosphere is just above the troposphere. If you've ridden in an airplane, the airplane rides right at the edge, right above the troposphere. And one of the reasons for that is it's smoother sailing. If you're going through clouds like this, that's where you have turbulence. So the stratosphere is higher. We can send balloons up into that area. The ozone layer is in that area, which is really important because that's the area that blocks UV light and prevents us from getting basically skin cancer. It's where weather stops, if that makes sense. And there's something called the jet stream where there's these hundreds of mile-an-hour winds that we can take advantage of and have a jet fly in that. And then it costs a lot less as far as fuel and things like that. But there are areas where there's a stream, like streams inside the ocean, but it's inside the atmosphere flowing real fast and hard. Okay, so that's the stratosphere in a nutshell. The next layer up is the mesosphere. Meso means middle. It's the middle sphere. It's important in that that's where meteors build up. It's very sparse. There's not much oxygen or gases there, but there's enough that when meteors hit there, they start getting hot because they're running into the gas there, and most of them burn up before they even reach the stratosphere. Um, it it cools as the area increases, but just realize that it's where meteors burn up. The last layer we're going to talk about is the thermosphere, and thermo means heat, so it's the hot layer. And basically, it's the layer that's stopping a lot of radiation from the sun. It's very thin, but it excites the incoming radiation excites the molecules so much that they're moving really fast. So it's a really hot layer, but it's so sparse. If you put your hand in it, it would still feel probably cold. Kind of like putting your hand in the oven. It doesn't burn instantly, even though it's a 400-degree oven. But if you grab a cast iron pan in the oven, it would hurt because it's much more dense. So it's kind of weird, but it's basically our extension out into outer space. And there's no hard definition of where the atmosphere ends because it just gets thinner and thinner and thinner. Right here, these are the northern lights, and that's where they occur. There's something called the ionosphere where charged particles exist. And when the solar wind strikes there, it excites those particles, and the electrons get going fast. And when they drop down to a lower energy level, they give off light. And it also, the ionosphere is kind of important in that, especially AM, if you have a radio, there's FM and there's AM. AM radio waves bounce off the ionosphere and they can make it all the way around the planet. In fact, a lot of people liked in the past to do shortwave radio because they could communicate with people all around the world long before there was internet. Anyway, some of the lower satellites exist in this area. We talked about Skylink. I think it's called Skylink. The the Elon Musk SpaceX. They're going to be flying probably in this layer, the thermosphere. And anyway, they are flying there. It's not like they're going to fly there. And then finally, here we go. Some things that you'll be expected to do on the quiz. Can you label these layers? You'll see a picture just like this asking, hey, what's layer 4? What's layer 3? What's layer 2? What's layer 1? Which layer is the hottest? Which layer has our weather in it? Which layer has the lowest pressure? Which layer has the highest pressure? Where would you find the jet stream? Where do you have meteors burn up? And which layer is home to us? Those are the kind of questions you're going to have to answer. Feel free to have this presentation open. I'll put this PowerPoint there for you to look at so you can look at it during your video. My idea is for you to just understand what's going on. And so that's it. Thanks, and I'll be in contact with you again tomorrow.